Hello, and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim. And with me again is... What?
It's Mark. I'm back again with a somewhat cogent voice. I don't know.
You're back
Jim.
to spew your nonsense. We know, Mark. It's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
It's okay. So, Mark, do you want to actually introduce our guest this time? And then we'll get to your bullshit?
I always introduce the guest.
You do.
Yeah, because I always invite them.
Except for the 2 months you were gone.
Well, that's true. We have world record breaking ice skater and proctologist, Chino. Chino, how are you doing?
I'm good.
That's the information that Jim gave me. So
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I just got off the ice skating rink just a few minutes ago, so glad I could make it here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad you didn't get kneecapped.
Yeah.
So, Chino, I actually started following you on TikTok because you have something massive that I'm so jealous of.
What?
We just talked about this.
We did.
Yeah,
We just talked about this.
We don't want to get banned.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get perma banned, and that's okay. You are a physical movie collector.
Yes, I am.
Mark, his collection, I swear to God, it's like a museum. It's gigantic, and he's got everything. Right?
I'd say more like a Blockbuster, but not a museum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Blockbuster is a museum now, right?
That's true.
Unless you live in Alaska or Oregon or wherever that last one is.
Speaking of physical media, I just came across this type of media, and I had it signed. Are you familiar?
Is that a laser disc?
That's
No,
awesome.
it's not a laser
Man,
disc.
too.
This is like a hard drive. It's like a,
Looks like a giant floppy disk.
yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
There you go.
It's called a CED.
Huh.
And I never knew they existed. So I've got a lot of like autographs. I go to conventions a lot, and I'm kind of like, hey, rather than just getting regular posters signed, let's see if there's anything different I can get signed. So I got a Laserdisc and an album and stuff. And then I came across this. I'm like, and there should be two of them, but I gave the guy that signed it the other one. It's so weird.
I have never seen it before.
And you can't, like, you're not supposed to open it, but there's a way to do it. I wonder if I can do it. And it's like a laser disc inside, but the whole thing goes into like whatever the player is, and it, takes the contents out and plays it. Very strange. Anyway, I thought that was cool.
That is pretty neat. So, Chino, how did you get into collecting physical media?
I gotta say it was just kind of like by accident. My dad, not to be all like dark right off the gate, but my dad left when I was 7.
Oh.
And he left behind his records. He left behind pretty much anything that he owned, physical media wise. And at the time I was living in Costa Rica. I was born and raised in Costa Rica. And when he left, I kind of just took over everything and consumed all of it. I had already been doing so at an early age. Like movies was always a thing. My grandma and I would always watch movies together. My family, pretty much everybody would just watch movies. But the physical media stuff started to happen once he left. I started taking care of like the records that he left behind. I'd take care of all the VHS. And then when he moved to the States, he actually would still keep in contact, and he would record movies off of like, Showtime, Cinemax, HBO, whatever it was, send a care package over like once a month. And then I'd start getting more movies. And it just kind of became this like, not an obsession, but just something that I almost in a weird way felt a connection to him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was like an extension of him not being there, like that absence. And yeah, it just grew from there. When I got to a point where, I had a job and I was able to buy my own stuff, it just continued. And I've kept everything, not just movies, but like I said, my records. I still have all my old toys. I have all the original like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which my daughters now play with. And I have like, I have my old lunchbox from kindergarten, my Ghostbusters lunchbox. So I have a lot of stuff that just throughout the years I've always taken care of. And since then, I, just do it now, but just at a more higher rate, more expensive rate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't mean to I'm not trying to make a joke up about this or anything, but like, I mean, psychologically, saying, after your dad left and then holding on to physical media, there's almost a parallel there to like, you can keep the physical media, you know what I mean? It's, I don't know if I'm overanalyzing.
No, you're actually right on target. So I don't want to plug this in, but this is kind of part of like my journey in like physical media world and movies. I had started a podcast called Once Upon a Movie, and it's all about that connection between movies and life. Because for me, the physical media part is like I said, an extension of that. And also the movies that I watch, the movies that I hold dearly in my life, are because a lot of them because of events that occurred, back then, whether they were traumatic, whether they were, great moments, things that I'll never forget. We all associate certain movies to certain times in our lives.
Yep.
And physical media is just another way of having an extra like memory bank of said event, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But be careful because Mark hates nostalgia.
I don't hate nostalgia. In fact, I'm all for nostalgia.
You are not.
What I dislike is people who just live their life with nostalgia and they can't appreciate anything that's new.
Yeah.
Oh, that must suck.
Huh? Oh, look at that. So sorry. I managed to pry this open. So look at this.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Now
Very
it doesn't work.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I was sitting there and fiddling with that. No, but I think, especially now I've seen it. I've started going back and collecting some like additional things myself. It's such a big business now too.
Yeah.
I mean, people really, really want to have things that they grew up with. And, people will spend a lot of money just to get that one figure or that one thing that they had an attachment to. But obviously that as a kid, you probably broke it or lost it or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely coming back into vogue. And as far as entertainment goes, again, VHSs seem to be coming back. Obviously, like albums have come back for a while now. Yeah. Like my stepdaughter, who's when she was 16, a couple of years ago, she got her own record player, and she was like playing all the records and stuff. I'm like, wow, it was like whenever I was her age, but again, there's almost like a recycling of the old fashionable things into the youth too. So it's people with nostalgia for it, but there's also this new generation who I think has an interest in some of the forms. Obviously not CEDs, since nobody knows what the hell they are, but just to kind of like go that more analog route. It's kind of interesting to see.
It is. I agree. So I'm curious, what is the one film in your collection, Chino, that you have that took you the longest to find?
It would have to be, this is the most random fucking one. Chuck Norris, The Hitman.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It wasn't that hard to find. It just was one of those that I kept saying to myself, I'm going to get it again, because I had it recorded off of a cable channel called UPN.
Yep.
And I had only ever seen the edited version of the film, but for the longest time, that's all I had. And I'm like, I need to get this. And I kept holding off for possibilities of having a DVD, Blu-ray, something from any of these boutique labels. No, nothing. So I just like, all right, fuck it, I'll get the DVD.
I bought my first DVD 3 years before I bought my first DVD player. And that's because
welcome to the world of Jim's brain.
Yeah, right. So there's this movie that I used to love called The Broken Hearts Club. I still love it. But I found a DVD copy of it at like an FYE or something in the mall, and I bought it immediately because it was so hard to find. But I didn't own a DVD player for another 3 years.
I did the same with my first DVD, my first DVD as well. I bought Final Destination before I had a DVD player.
Okay.
And I waited maybe, it was like 8 or 9 months before I could get a PlayStation 2. That was my DVD player.
Yeah. See, Mark, I'm not the only one.
No. That's an acceptable amount of time between buying content
3
and being
years.
able to watch it.
I mean, that is a bit excessive, probably.
What I've also noticed is that there's certainly movies that I loved growing up in the 80s that either never got like a full like DVD, even a DVD release. I'm thinking about movies like Retribution from '88, and I was looking for it, and I don't have a VHS player anymore, so it had to be on like DVD. It wasn't streaming anywhere; I couldn't find it anywhere. But then I found there was a very limited Blu-ray release, so I was able to get it that way. But then again, you just have this big gap of not being able to find something. Then a company releases it very limited, so now you have to search around for that. It's very strange. Like you would think if you own the license to something that certainly there's a lot of us 80s horror fans that would probably eat that up.
Yep.
But I'm not in that business. So what do I know?
I did that. I just got a Blu-ray copy of the movie 100 Feet with Famke Janssen.
It's a great movie.
And I've probably been looking for that for somewhere around 3 years. So I finally found it on eBay, and I ordered it. It came from the Netherlands. It's the English movie with Dutch subtitles.
All three are in here to go back.
It's so weird. I bought that thing when it came out. It was like, I mean, I remember it was just sitting there for like $3.99. Nobody knew the movie. I just was like, yeah. It was a blind buy.
Have you watched it though?
Yeah.
I love that movie. I think it's fantastic.
It's odd. Like I was not expecting it to be as brutal as it actually was. And yeah, I cared for the kid that ultimately got it, very early on in the movie, but it was very brutal, very unexpected.
Mark?
But there's also this phenomenon now of movies just being released on streaming.
Hang on, Mark. What are your thoughts of 100 Feet starring Famke Janssen?
It's been so long since I've seen it. I can't even remember.
Okay, fair enough.
But I do like Famke Janssen.
Everybody.
I do know that. But now, you'll find on Netflix or Amazon or whatever buying these movies up just solely to stream.
Yep.
A recent fantastic martial arts movie, which is gorier than 99% of gory horror movies, which is The Night Comes for Us.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. So, but it'll be on Netflix, and then they'll take it off.
Right. It's on my shelf.
And then maybe they'll put it back on. I think maybe. So they had a physical release, but it was a Chinese release. So I thought I had to order a foreign physical media because there's certain movies I just want to have on hand if I want to watch them.
Right. Did you buy it or no?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You did. Okay. I have one that's a U.S. release. I was going to send you the link to, but
because I could not find.
Oh, I found it quick. I needed that movie in my. That's like you said. It's one of those movies that you just that has to be in the collection.
See, I don't know.
If you're a fan of The Raid, you're a fan of this kind of movie. Yeah,
absolutely. And also movies like The Perfection. I don't know where. I don't even know if they've released that on physical media at all.
That is a fantastic film.
So it's kind of sad that way, but honestly, like my physical media buying went way down when streaming started. And now I only kind of buy the ones that I really, really want to have. And like I say, have on hand.
I think the last physical media that I bought that wasn't like at a thrift store or something like that was Eight Eyes and Gorfers. Both independent films. So I wanted to support the people, and we talked to both those film companies, and they're fantastic. But I mean, everything else I get used. I don't buy anything barely brand new except the Subspecies box set. I bought that brand new for $200. Wow. But it's beautiful. It comes in a wooden coffin and everything. It's great.
That's cool.
What I've started getting into, Jim, you'll know this because I made a beautiful framed thing. So I'm starting to buy screen used movie props because to me that's like, again, I've got like physical media, I've got autographs and stuff, but I don't know. Now I'm just going into that little niche world. So it's pretty interesting to kind of look around and see what's out there and how much things are. For example, I just bought an actual full. Have you seen the movie Pandorum? Jim?
I have not.
You haven't seen Pandorum,
No.
Chino?
I saw it opening night. Didn't like it. Never saw it again.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got like a full like costume of one of the kind of mutants. And it's got all the prosthetics and stuff on.
That's cool.
I don't know. So I'm starting to move into that. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. I think because I was sick and I couldn't do anything else. I'm like, I'm bored. I have to like
Right.
start like going down a rabbit hole.
That's fair. So, Chino, what is your current favorite film? What is the movie that is your go-to right now?
Jesus. Wow. I don't have one. I'll be honest. I don't have a current favorite. I haven't seen anything in the last 2 years that has really made me like lose my mind over. I need to rewatch it again. I think the only one that I rewatched that I was eager to see when it was finally released would have been Godzilla -1.
Yeah, it was great.
Just the theater experience, incredible. Went into it not knowing anything about the story. Came out with some teary eyes. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I crying over a Godzilla movie? But I was excited to rewatch that. But other than that, I just really haven't had anything that really has hit me to that point that I need to rewatch.
Mark, what about you?
So, sorry, just to clarify, were you saying just Chino's favorite movie, or just like favorite movie
Well,
of
favorite
recent time?
is subjective, right? And it changes over time. So
No,
a lot of it has to do.
I know, but Chino, if I was asking you, what's your favorite horror movie?
I couldn't give you an answer because
top
I have
five.
a lot, right? So
Yeah.
I'd say Evil Dead 2013, I love. I can watch that movie any day of the week if it's on, or if somebody wants to like watch it. I'm like, yeah, let's watch it. I would say The Descent. Descent
Great
is a
film.
comfort movie.
Yep.
That movie is fantastic. What else? Martyrs. Love Martyrs.
The French version, right?
No, the remake. I'm just kidding. Yeah, of course, the French.
You were about Mark, just saying.
The best remake ever.
Yeah, right.
No, I never even bothered to watch that. I would not support that at all. Yeah, Martyrs. That thing has lived rent free since I saw it back in I think it was 2014 or 2011. Actually, I want to say, yeah, no, 2011. Yeah, I would say like those there. I'd have to think more on the other ones, but Lost Boys is one that always doesn't matter. I just showed it to my 5-year-old. I was like, you know what? She's old enough. It's not gory. It's more like jump scares. And then the only scene that scared me as a kid, I made sure that she just got her eyes covered.
Yeah. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I've seen The Lost Boys exactly twice in my life, and it's not bad. I'm just, I don't have a connection to that film like everybody else seems to from that time period.
Yeah.
I think it's decent enough. For me, it's kind of like the Frog Brothers type kids stuff brings it down just a little bit for me. I probably watched it later than I should. Like maybe if I'd watched it when I was a bit younger, maybe it would have resonated more with me. But I don't know. I mean, whenever I look at vampires, is not my favorite subgenre. But like for 80s vampires, I'll go watch Near Dark way before I'll watch Lost Boys. But
yeah.
How old were you when you saw it?
I mean, I was probably, it was maybe 17 or 18, I'm thinking. So I saw pretty late, really.
Yeah, you did.
And I don't, maybe because it was vampires. And again, I've never really been a big vampire fan in general. So maybe I just skipped it.
Just the recent rewatch that we did, my wife goes, wow, you really love this movie. I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, you were so influenced by David. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you dress just like him. And she's not wrong. I've realized now, I'm like, Jesus, I do. I dress like a vampire. Long black trench coat, up. I mean, I had the long hair before, had the motorcycle, didn't have the earrings, never got earrings, but it was. I'm like, wow, it's crazy how like a movie like that at such a young age is just can be so impactful to you, and subconsciously you don't know it until later on.
I mean,
and they're just noodles, Michael. By the way,
yeah. And I suck blood on the weekends, so
my niece will not eat rice.
Jim said something else. Sorry, what, Jim?
My niece still will not eat rice because of that film, and she's 30 now.
Wow.
But going back, Martyrs is my favorite horror movie, so
Yep.
I'm glad to see other people like it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How many times have you watched it?
Oh, I've watched Martyrs probably 10, 15 times at this point.
And have you always like kind of peeled another layer of stuff that you kind of not missed, but more that you understood? Or
so I made Jim watch it because he had never seen it before. I'm like, you have to watch this. So what I find with Martyrs is that it's such a great melding of multiple subgenres, right? So you have home invasion, you have the torture part, you have the ghost part. I just like every time I watch it, it's more that I just appreciate how well structured it is, that it can move from here to here to here, and then finally end up with, I think, probably one of, or if not the best, open-ended endings to any movie. As far as finding more stuff about it, I don't really know. I'd have to think about that one.
I mean, he does. Mark likes the bleak endings, and that's what he really loves about that film. That's what really.
No, but that's not true. Is it a bleak ending or not?
It is absolutely a bleak ending.
How do you know?
Because you don't know. There's no resolution.
So that is what's called an ambiguous ending, Jim. Not a bleak
I consider it bleak.
Well, you don't know how to use words.
You're probably right. But it is a good film. It is. Mark did force me to watch it, but I'm not sorry I watched it. It was brutal, and we watched it live on the podcast, so people got to hear my grunts and groans in real time, because it's pretty brutal. The opening of that film is brutal, and so is the middle portion where so
is the whole movie.
Yeah,
I mean it is. It really is. But
well, one thing that I heard people say about it is like it's misogynistic. I don't get that. Don't get that at all. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I've never once viewed it as that. My thing though is I like to only with certain movies I like to kind of go deeper down the rabbit hole, look up things about the film, the director, where his mind was at when he wrote the film, why he decided to make such a story and that sort of thing. So when I asked you about like the whole layers to that movie is because a lot of my rewatch have been influenced by reading up on what the director was going through at that time.
Yeah, he was totally depressed.
Yeah. And I feed off of that,
Yeah, and you can look at movies like Possession, The Brood, right? So Cronenberg was going through a divorce at that time, and that heavily kind of influenced it. So it is interesting to see. Yeah. Now, what I'll say for Pascal Louisier, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Have you watched The Tall Man? I assume you have.
I have not.
Okay, so that was his movie that he made, his first American movie.
The one with Jennifer Biel? Or Jennifer, what's her name?
Jessica
Biel.
Jessica Alba. Whatever. That woman who's two women. That look pretty similar and have similar type of names.
No, they don't look similar at all, actually. But go on.
Well, I'm just saying they've got the brood all good looking.
Don't disrespect Jessica Biel like that.
Team Alba. So you should really watch The Tall Man, because I'm not going to say anything about it. Actually,
I don't know if you really need to. It was meh.
No. I saw the trailer and I said, eh.
No,
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly.
I'll be
the
honest.
movie.
That's why I didn't see it. I didn't see it not because I
right,
missed
no,
it or anything.
but it's not. It's actually very good, and you
I'll
should
watch it.
watch it
I will.
It's
through the lens of Martyrs.
Okay. I will
Because
watch
to
it.
me,
it's meh. You're not wrong. Your first impression was right.
okay, shut up, Jim. That'll keep it down. No, but it really is a companion piece. If you ask me to it, no,
It's
it is.
not. What are you talking
Shut
about?
up, Jim. Shut up, Jim. You don't know what you're talking about. So if you watch it and
But then,
think
no,
about,
wait. Hang on.
no, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
If you're saying that the Tall Man is a
Yeah.
companion piece to Martyrs, that would make Grim Cuddy a direct sequel.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, like, if you watch those two movies, Martyrs and Tall Man, from the same director. Now, obviously, as far as content, they're way different.
Yeah,
Way
but now
different.
you're going to go on to that
Okay,
stupid apocalypse
Jim,
trilogy
I'm
thing.
talking to Chino here. Can you just? But so, although the content is much different, there's extremely similar but almost opposite themes going on in there. So I'd say give it a watch.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll add it to my
It's
watch
not.
list.
It's not unwatchable. I'll give you that. But I don't think it has any comparisons to Martyrs, and I take umbrage with the fact that you did say that.
Well, Jim, we can talk about it another time when I'm not spoiling it for somebody.
But so back to what I was talking about. This. Have you seen the movie Grim Cuddy from Hulu?
No.
So that is a movie that surprised me because it's all about paranoia.
Okay.
So if you watch it and you understand what's actually happening in the film, the words "chill out, mom and dad" take on a whole new meaning.
Oh wait, I did see it.
I liked that one.
So that's not a good sign that I didn't recognize it when you said it.
I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I did have it in the bedroom late night and kind of maybe dozed off on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I as soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's
added
fair.
to my list.
It's not great, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I think
Mark?
that's a big issue too with streaming, that there's so much that I find myself just getting overwhelmed a lot of times.
Yeah.
And because I consume a lot more, a lot of the films are more forgettable in that sense. Like I'll rewatch something from 10 years ago and I'm like, wow, I remember every beat of this film. I can tell you when the music swells up, when the, certain tone in the voice, when they say this or that. And with new films, good luck trying to remember like the main characters, like just the names.
I'm terrible with it.
It's weird.
Terrible.
It's really
well.
weird.
I mean, it's oversaturation because it's great that indie filmmakers and movies that generally aren't getting a big studio release are getting the exposure, but it does get a bit overwhelming for sure.
So it's like a virtual walking around blockbuster, but there's not just 20 shelves. There's 2,000 shelves to walk around.
Yep.
And can we just all admit now that streaming has just, when we say replace cable, you're paying the same amount now for all these streaming channels.
You are.
For cable now. Plus, all of them have ads in them now. I'm like, why the fuck am I paying for this service?
Yeah.
And you've started putting ads in it. So we're just going back to cable, right? Yeah. Very strange.
It's a la carte streaming. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I absolutely agree. So we'd originally talking about some of the different eras in horror, right, Mark?
Sure.
So, Mark, what is your favorite silent era film from the 1890s to the 1920s?
So, we're going to go back to when you think about the silent era, right? It's really dominated by like German expressionism.
Yes.
And that's not just in horror, that's in sci-fi, and they really were at the forefront of the stylistic way of doing it. A movie I actually only saw fairly recently, but I always knew about it. Don't know, I never watched it. Is Haxan? Who's seen Haxan?
I love that movie.
And it's kind of mind blowing, both from how they made it and just like it's not really a movie, it's more like a documentary sort of.
It's a mockumentary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but doing it in that style pretty unheard of. I
Yeah,
mean,
agreed.
I'm trying to think the next, like after Haxon in horror, when there was another movie like that. I don't know, maybe you were looking into the 80s or something,
Yeah.
70s or 80s. So like talk about being ahead of your time. But again, a lot of the silent era is very much like vaudevillian, right? And it's very much inspired by theater.
Yep.
And the dark and the shadows and the light and how they play off the mostly Nosferatu, new releases coming back from old movies, which I still haven't seen yet, the Robert Eggers one. But yeah, I mean, stylistically, it was very interesting. Jim, what's your favorite of that era?
It's Haxon. And you know that because we've talked about it many times.
What's your second favorite?
The only other one I can honestly recall at all is going to be Nosferatu from 1922.
What's your third favorite? One that I haven't brought up already.
Did you not just hear my words, Mark?
Yes.
Anyway, so Chino, what about you? Are you
so for that? There's a couple of things that you guys will understand about me is that I missed a lot of things from the age from when I was born to about 11 years old, and that's when I was able to move to the US, right? So in Costa Rica, we didn't have luxury of any kind. We had a single network that had 2 channels.
Okay.
And out of those 2 channels, a lot of the films we got were Mexican films. And if we got anything in English, it was probably like 70s, late 70s, early 80s, really bad dubbed over stuff. So a lot of stuff when it came to movies, music, completely, went past me. There was one that I did see, and it was with my grandmother. It was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That was the only one that played for some reason. And I don't remember anything other than like, just the scenes where he's like drinking the elixir and then it like goes to the shadow and then, you see the transformation occur and whatnot.
Right.
But I mean, my memory's foggy with that. Like I was so little at the time. So yeah, that'd be the only one.
Mark?
Yes.
The golden age, 20s to 30s.
So definitely my favorite from this. Unfortunately, the movie that ruined one of the best directors' careers is, Jim?
What?
Freaks.
Ah.
Absolutely destroyed Todd Browning's career. Obviously, best known for his Dracula movie, but yeah, they ahead of his time again. Totally misunderstood by the audience of its time, where they thought he was somehow exploiting these real freaks. So,
that movie had a big impact because, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that around the time that the Hays Code was instituted too? Or as a result of that movie?
No, I don't think. I think Hays was a little bit after that, but I do know, like, in the UK, it was still banned until I think the 70s, which is crazy to think about. And it's actually a very sympathetic movie, and the bad guys are the normal people,
right?
And so it was very so misunderstood at the time. And Todd Browning actually, when he was younger, he used to work, I believe, in some of these traveling freak shows and stuff. So he had a great affinity for the performers there. So, but yeah, but far and away, I love that movie. I think it's shot so well. There's some kind of real fun, like there's always that image of one of the performers who has no arms or legs,
right,
going after the bad guys with a knife in his mouth. Like, I'm not sure what you're going to do here. Like, how's that going to work? But Google Gobble, one of us, we accept you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Hays Code, by the way, was instituted in 1927.
Okay. And when Freaks was what, 24?
something like that. Yes.
Maybe.
So anyway, we'll skip to the golden age because, or I'm sorry, the atomic age. Mark, what's your
Okay.
favorite atomic age movie?
So if we're talking 60s, I'm I you always go to like Tarantula and them and like the
Yeah.
big monster movies.
Chino.
I'm going to go a little bit different here, and I'm going to say um I'm not going to say Quatermass in the Pit because although it's a comic movie and it's like one of my favorite movies, I don't want to do that one. So I'm going to go with Forbidden Planet, which I think is um like pretty much a horror movie for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so wonderfully shot, and it's got a lot of those '60s tropes of, the beautiful young girl, and then the military people don't have to be very proper, and she's running around swimming, and they're all like, "Ooh," it's very, very much, it's set in the far-flung future, but we have '60s kind of etiquette going on. But wonderful, Robbie the Robot
Yep.
is in it, and some great effects for the monster. And again, it's a retelling or inspired by Shakespeare's The Tempest, so you get a lot of that id and like your inner workings, and how that affects people around you, and how the dad just wants to keep his daughter safe and virginal. So yeah,
I'm gonna go with Invaders from Mars, 1957.
oh yeah, great. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it, and I love the comic book style remake from '87 with Karen Black. Another really well done. I love it because it's so cheesy. Or not.
Toby Hooper.
I freaking love it. But anyway, so now Chino, we'll bring you back into the conversation since we got through all that garbage. So the next subgenre is where humans become the villains, and that is the slasher era. Mark, what do you got for us? Because you're not a big slasher fan.
I'm not a big slasher fan. Although, again, when we talk about it, then I'm like, oh, I really like this one. I really
Yeah.
I will say though, before you guys get into that, I just want to go back to Atomic Age.
Oh yes.
I did get a chance to see Invasion of the Body Snatchers back in the day, and that movie unlocked a whole new fear that to this day is like the best thing ever. Because any kind of movie that comes out that is in that similar space, I just eat it up. There's just something about it that just, it's such a simple premise, and it can be done however many. I mean, how many times have we had that movie been remade? At this point,
that's true.
And I'm there. I think I own all of them. So it just gets better and better.
I don't disagree. It is a fantastic film.
I'm sure you've seen the version by, oh God, what's his name? Driller Killer Director.
The Nicole Kidman one?
No. Director.
Wasn't that was Invasion with Nicole Kidman had a similar
Daniel Craig.
Abel Ferreira's Invasion of the Body Snatcher, which is called, I think it's called that. It's just called Body Snatchers from 1993.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have.
I'm wondering if
it's one that kind of flies under the radar because people talk about the original, and then they talk about the 70s one, the Donald Sutherland one a lot.
Yeah,
which is amazing too. I love both of those probably equally.
This is the one with Meg Tilly. I love Meg Tilly in anything she's in.
Yeah, but I think this one kind of flew under the radar a little bit.
That right there, this and one other movie, the posters immediately takes me back to like Blockbuster or just video stores in general.
Yeah,
the Blob, the 80s, the Blob.
Yes, the remake. Mm-hmm.
There's never been a more terrifying poster. I gotten nightmares from just that cover art.
I disagree. I know a scarier one because it scared me whenever I was a kid.
Which one?
So there was different like this one was from the UK. It's from The Deadly Spawn.
Okay.
And it's just a picture. Can I share screen here? Let's see.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Let me see if I can find this. Google. Have you seen The Deadly Spawn?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's fantastic.
From
one of the covers, it's very low budget, but one of the covers here it is.
I definitely have not.
Here, I'll share my screen.
Is that supposed to be what I think it is?
So,
There it is. There you
so
go.
okay, hang on.
From the
Where the
makers
hell?
of
Where
Teeth.
the hell? So we're okay. So that's the Goofy cover.
Yep.
Okay, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Somehow, let's see. Share screen. What the hell? Entire screen. Okay. Is it sharing? I have no idea.
No, it's not.
Entire screen. Okay, this thing doesn't fucking work. It's probably something you've done on your side.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the creatures themselves are just basically mouths with like huge teeth.
Yeah.
And the original cover is just the mouth with all these teeth in it.
I'm looking at it right now. It's
Okay.
yeah, it looks badass.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like a tunnel, just blood tunnel, and then blood coming down the teeth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Definitely worth checking out. Really, really good. For,
it looks like
for
fun.
the low budget that it is.
Yeah,
really good.
Nice. So, shall we move on to slashers, Mark?
Sure. Why don't you go first this time?
Mine is gonna always be the same answer, Mark. What's my favorite slasher?
It's clearly, it's obviously a giallo.
Clearly.
It's obviously from Fulci.
Clearly.
And it's New York Ripper.
Clearly.
It's a Nightmare on Elm Street, Jim, everyone.
It is 100% a Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember, and Mark hates this story, but Chino, I think you might appreciate this, but when I was, 8, 9 years old, I came home, I was leaving for school, and my mother said, "Oh, by the way, I taped your favorite movie off HBO last night." And I'm like, "What movie?" She's like, "Don't worry, we'll watch it when you get home." So I'm flipping through the TV guide, looking for this movie to figure out what the hell she taped. And I said, "Well, the only thing that I could see that I might want to watch is A Nightmare on Elm Street." And she's like, "Don't worry, we'll watch it when you get home." So I'm pumped all through school, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I get home. She's like, "Oh, we got to wait till it gets dark." So it gets dark, and this movie comes on, and the scene where Freddy is chasing Tina and he cuts off his fingers.
Oh, man.
My mother immediately thought I would be freaked out, and I was just in love instantly. Like, I was like, "This is freaking awesome." And I've been that way ever since. It's still to this day my favorite film ever.
Yeah. It's it's mine, so I can't, it's universal. Like it's one of those movies that works anywhere. I saw it the first time I saw it was dubbed over. So I didn't get to hear what Robert Englund actually sounded like until years later when I moved to the US and actually got to hear him speak in English, which was a trip. So you can imagine just watching these movies with like none of those effects of like, te voy a encontrar Nancy. Like, what the hell is happening? It just sounds so comical and cheesy. It's bad.
Right.
But the images are scary. You just don't. There's just a disconnect. So I wasn't as scared. I just thought it was really cool visually. Like I thought it was so unique. And I love the music. That's one thing that watching films like this dubbed over, it allowed me to appreciate other aspects of it because of the fact that I was kind of put off a little bit by the voice acting. Because another thing you have to realize is that most of the actors that were doing the voiceovers were the same exact. So if you watch Nightmare on Elm Street or you watch the novela called Maria Elena, probably the same dude that was playing Uncle Esteban is doing the voice of Freddy, and it was like, it was horrible. So
I actually was watching, I forget which celebrity was talking about the first time that they saw one of their films in another language, and how in a specific language, let's say if it was in Spanish or whatever, you got the same actor every single time, no matter what movie it is. Yeah. So regardless of whether it fits or not, it's the same voice. You're always going to hear the same voice.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, absolute classic. And just to clarify, we're talking about the remake, right, guys?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Just a-
I
just a
actually
case
don't
of
mind the
video.
remake. I had a conversation with somebody about this.
Oh God.
I don't mind it because here's the thing about remakes. If you're gonna make it, then make something different, right? Don't
Yeah.
remake what already exists. If we want that, we're just gonna go see the original, you know. But at least they tried. They tried to do something that was different. They tried to make it a little bit more serious, but I felt like they didn't go enough. Like they could have gone heavy with it, and they
They
just
could
were a
have.
little too safe about it.
My two big problems, right, is Nancy was never one of his victims, and that really bothered me that they tried to introduce that story arc. Like if she had not been the character of Nancy, then it would have been different, right? I probably would have felt a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And that makeup on Jackie Earl Haley is just it makes him you can't understand him, right?
It,
He can't properly emote. He can't give the performance we're all wanting him to give. So both of those worked against it for me.
so I mean, I agree halfway with you there, Jim. I don't think it's necessarily the makeup. I can see what they're trying to do, right? Go with more realistic. Hey,
Yeah,
people burns. What people look like, but the ADR on like he's just, it's all really cool. I'm pretty figure. What did we get to?
yeah,
It's
And it's a
Bane from The
pity
Dark Knight
because
Rises.
yeah.
because I whenever I heard that we're remaking it on this Platinum Dunes, oh Jesus, um, then I heard they cast Jackie Earl Haley. And I love the Watchmen movie,
Yeah.
plus the comic books and stuff, and he is fantastic as Rorschach.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I can see what they're doing with them hiring him, and then it was just a big letdown. Another one of the things like I don't understand it. Okay, so although they did the micro naps and trying to do something a little bit different, they obviously did some fan service, right? You have to some of the same scenes from the original, and that scene from the first where he's over Nancy coming out
Yeah.
of the wall.
Pissed me off.
It,
That was
like
the one thing.
the original probably cost $20, and it
Right,
looks
the late night.
It
amazing.
was practical effects.
It's just a plastic sheet that
Mhm.
and a light underneath it. That's all you
Yep.
need to do. So then they go like, "Oh no, we have to CGI this shit." I'm like, this looks awful.
It looked
Like
terrible.
they probably spent fucking $20,000 making that scene. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why?
That
Yeah,
took me out of the movie watching it in theaters.
I agree. And you can say almost the same thing about the Poltergeist remake, right? They tried to be different. They tried to
movie's
go in a different
fantastic.
direction, but it just doesn't work because it's too far removed from the source material that everybody loves. If it had been a different movie, it would have been good.
I enjoyed it.
I,
I own it. I own it I have it in 3D.
I'm not gonna lie.
I-
I wish I love Sam Rockwell, right? I think he's a great actor. I just don't think that was a good vehicle.
all I can remember from that movie is two things. Like the drone was a cool idea.
Yes.
Using that. And the other thing, I just can't get it out of my head no matter what I do. Maybe I need to rewatch it. But the whole thing that they made such a big point of at the start, like, we're broke, we can't, like, I've lost my job, we're going to lose a house. Oh my God, we've got no money, no money. And then he goes out and buys the whole family like a whole bunch of gifts on credit cards. Hey, and then they drop that whole thing. Like, what? Why even bring
Yeah,
up?
Mark, that actually is not an uncommon response to that sort of event, right?
But there's no, excuse the expression, payoff in that movie. It just makes him look
Not on his
fucking
credit cards
stupid.
anyway.
I don't know. Anyway, look at the bathroom. I'm taking my microphone.
Yeah. But I mean, I understand Mark's point, but that, like I said, that is not an uncommon response to sometimes being in that situation. You will try and overcompensate, even if you know there's no way out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I have a lot of love for the original.
I do too. I love the original.
I searched for something from the movie and then found this on Temu.
Would you think of? Have you ever been able to watch the original without thinking about Scary Movie 2?
I've never seen any of the scary movies.
Really?
No.
I think you would
I
enjoy.
do
You
know
would get a
about
kick
Tori's
out of it.
selling scene in that movie. I do know about that.
I'm talking about the clown scene. I
Oh.
can't say half of what happens because immediately this will get taken down. But let's just say the clown gets a very unexpected surprise instead of the person on the bed.
Yeah, no, I've not ever seen a full scary movie.
Oh man, Scary Movie 1 and 2 I thought were fantastic. They were, at that time. I mean, I was in high school, and it just made total sense to see them, and it's like they was targeted for like my age.
Yeah.
And they're just great. But like I just recently rewatched the first Poltergeist, the original, and showed it to my daughter. She loved it. And
both of the first films in that series are phenomenal. Even if the first one gets a little cheesy or corny in some spots, with the whole them jumping into the fire and all that crap, where they just had to go bigger, and we knew that they had to go bigger. Both movies, and I think a lot of it has to do, at least for me, with the family dynamic. The casting and the chemistry of all of those actors on screen was amazing.
Yeah. It's a time too when movies were character driven.
Yeah.
You just don't get that anymore.
That's true.
You think about like a family dynamic in recent movies. You don't. It's always like just one character, and it always feels the same. It's like the family hates each other for some odd reason. There's not a single loving family in any of these movies anymore. Like the daughter is pissed off, doesn't want to go on vacation. The brother's annoying.
Right.
A mom is, texting her landscaper, and the dad is like oblivious to everything, or he's just a cook the entire time. Like, it's all the time. It's like that. You don't have movies where the husband and wife get along, they love each other, they're smoking a joint together in the bedroom.
Right.
They're like, they're all about it. And their kids, yes, there's banter between the kids, but that's any kid, that's
of
any,
course,
whatever. But yeah, you just don't see that. I loved Super 8. Super 8 was like one of the last films that I felt like it captured a little bit of that magic and nostalgia. Since Mark's not here, I'll mention that word of the 80s, with like the kids and going off in an adventure, and taking on something bigger, larger than life, if you will.
And that sort of was the draw for Stranger Things too, right? I mean, yes, they were all dysfunctional families, but it was the kids that you relate to as a group of kids, just like from the original It, where they're the losers club. That's what everybody related to.
Let me ask you this: with the new It, did you like the remake?
I did like the darker tone. Yes. I thought it was okay, but I do have a lot of love for the original, but on rewatch, it's not a great film.
No.
It's pretty boring, if I'm being honest. It's very long, because I saw it when it originally aired on TV. It was over 3 or 4 nights. It's 2 hours a night. But I have a lot of love for it, and I will always rewatch it no matter when it's on. But it's just not a great film.
Yeah.
The new It, I thought, was a much more cohesive story, and did the exact same thing. But I don't know. I didn't connect with it the way I did with the original, and that's probably because I saw it live in real time.
Yeah, I didn't connect with the new one because I didn't feel like the dynamic of the kids was there the way that the kids were in the original.
Yep.
Well, I think that the new one, in terms of just filmmaking, obviously is a better film.
Yeah. And
I love the take of Pennywise and all that. I still prefer the original over the remake.
Yeah.
And the things that Mark mentioned about specifically that scene in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, with the CGI, that was one massive issue that I personally had that I just couldn't get over watching the new It.
Yeah.
Because the director, whatever the hell his name is, he is obsessed with just using awful CGI. Like,
right.
I don't understand it. I don't get how we just approve these kinds of things. I understand that there's time constraints and you got to get it out, but like, if it's not going to look that good, maybe, I don't know, work around it. But like, he just uses the same ugly looking CGI. He used it on Mama. He used the same exact character, Mama, in It, with that weird lady with her eye like droopy and whatnot. And it's just, to me, it's just so distracting.
I will say problem. That is the one scene that I thought was done better in the remake, was when Beverly goes home, goes to visit her old house.
Yes.
I thought that was done so much better in the remake than it was in the original. But overall, I enjoy the original more, and I think a lot of that has to do with Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise.
Yeah.
I thought he was much more threatening without being overtly terrifying. Like he was just, I don't know how to explain it. Like he's like the pedo in the white van.
He
right?
could get you in the van.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Like he's got the good candy. I'm like,
exactly.
Listen, guys, he's got Twizzlers. You understand, right? I'll be right back.
You see Bill Skarsgård's version of Pennywise, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
No,
dude's drooling. I'm like, bro, no.
Yeah, I probably would have been just like Georgie, and he would have bitten off my arm and beat me with it. Mark, thoughts?
Okay, so I just want to ask this first of all. So why does he kill Georgie in the first place?
Because that's what he does.
But I thought so the whole premise of it with the other kids is that he's scaring them to build up their fear, because they're tastier. He doesn't do that with Georgie.
Right, but you don't know if he just has to feed to begin the process, right? Because he's been asleep for however.
Now you're just adding your own bullshit.
I am. You're right. I'm not disagreeing with you, Mark. I'm just saying you don't know that because it's never explored.
Well, sure. Well, maybe he, farts out his red balloons.
Maybe you never know.
So here's the thing: I like both the original series and the new movies. It's almost like even though they're the same story, and I understand that there's a difference between what you can do in 6 hours or whatever the original series is. Well, actually, probably the 2 movies are 6 hours, but like in the recent the first one, like Richie is not in it really at all.
Right.
So I think they had to make some sort of choices there, and obviously the fucking tome that is is what 800 pages or whatever the fuck it is. But I like different aspects of both of them, and I can appreciate both of them. And I'm wondering whether somebody, and I know there's going to be different actors in it, could do like a mashup of different different scenes from the movies and the original and put it together. I think that would be interesting.
I will say that is still one scene that has always stuck with me from the original is the Chinese restaurant scene.
Yeah.
That was insane in the original.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the new one. Obviously, he's got an R rating, so it can go there, and the TV movie couldn't.
You know what? But there's one scene that, and Mark, it's not the scene you're thinking of, that doesn't get explored that I wish would.
Oh yeah, I know which one you.
No, you don't. About. No, you don't. Stop being a pig. I'm talking about the baby eating scene. There's a scene in the book where Pennywise eats a child, like an infant, and I want to see that because it gives a little bit of a backstory, and I want to see that on film.
And so, a lot of people have criticism, quite rightly, for the ending of the original one where he just turns into a big spider, right? But the second one or the newer ones try to do the mystical thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way anybody, I think, could make sense of coked out Stephen King, coming up with all this, like, honestly, like madness, and putting it on screen and making it like seem reasonable. But yeah, I mean, I like I say, I like both for different reasons. Yeah,
that's fair. That is absolutely fair. Chino, anything else to add?
No, I'm gonna wait and see what the reviews are for the series, the limited series that's coming out.
I have to say, I have to give it.
I'm not excited about it.
I don't know if I'm excited about it because initially I wasn't excited for Castle Rock, and that turned out to be really damn good.
Okay.
I thought I really hated the fact that they were bringing so many of the characters together in whatever form they wound up doing it in, but it really worked. It wound up working when I finally did sit down to watch it. So
I think we should all band together, buy a bunch of Coke, flap the mane, give it to Stephen King, and say, remember Maximum Overdrive? Well, you don't remember that. but here's a whole bunch of Coke. Do another one of your older movies, or sorry, older books. Make a movie, and it will be awesome.
Okay. I mean, okay. I have no response to that.
So, Mr. King, if you're listening, we can fly you up some cocaine.
Mark can. I'd like to preface that Mark is offering, not the rest of us.
No, I'm the mule, Jim.
If my parole officer's listening, I don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
I mean Coca-Cola, of course.
Oh yeah. Well.
Oh, is
that sugar rush you'll get?
Gotcha. Fair enough.
So the next era, and I don't even know how to define this. Is the psycho thriller era.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even sure how to define that. Except,
so to me, Jim, that sounds like Identity.
Identity, really?
Yeah, psycho thriller. Yeah.
Like Cape Fear or Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, like Cape Fear, I get, but Identity, I don't understand that reference because. Like that movie, they're all inside of one person's head. So does it really matter?
Right. It doesn't matter.
Spoiler alert.
The movie's 20 years old. So.
God, you ruined it.
So it depends whether you. Well, I mean, it's still a murderer on the loose. It's still a thriller.
Yeah, that's
somebody's there or not. I mean, you could say it's the Silence of the Lambs, but I almost take it more.
Peeping Tom.
Yeah,
right. Well, no. Well, Peeping Tom, is that a slasher?
I mean, it kind of can be a little bit of both.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't have to be exclusive.
Genres, right? Genres are subjective, and
yeah.
Anything can almost be anything.
I'll be honest. My pick here is going to be Intensity. And no, I don't mean High Tension, Mark.
Okay.
Chino, have you seen Intensity?
I don't think so.
It was a made-for-TV movie in the late 90s.
No, I did not.
John C. McGinley is awesome.
Have you seen High Tension?
The French film?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same movie, beat for beat.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, no, they tried to do the old switcheroo at the end, which didn't make any sense. But yeah,
High Tension didn't make sense either, though.
That's what he's talking about is High Tension.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So basically, it's the same premise with a lot of the same scenes. That they, and I don't think there's any coincidence that Intensity and High Tension, clearly Aja, took a lot from the book or the movie or the made-for-TV movie.
Yep.
Love High Tension, apart from the end, which just ruins the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
retroactively. But yeah, Intensity is great if you can find it. And again, this goes back to physical media. Unlike trying to find, it might be on YouTube or something, maybe. But I don't know where the hell else you'd find.
You said it was made for TV, though, right?
It was made for TV from 1997.
It's a Dinar Kuntz.
Yeah, and you know what? Normally he butchers the fuck out of his books.
Apart from Phantoms.
No.
Yes.
There's I can get a DVD of it. Dean Koontz Intensity.
That's what I want.
$20.
Yeah, I need to get that.
Sony Choice Collection.
Yep.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
I'll buy it right now.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna look that up when we get off. I love that movie. It's just so well done, in my opinion. And it's for being a made for TV movie. Like even Servants of Twilight was really well done. But then you get into movies that Dean Koontz did, like The Dark Half, Phantoms. He butchers his own material. He needs to stop adapting his books.
Bullshit. Phantoms is awesome.
He is not. Phantoms is garbage.
No, you're garbage. Anyway, hang on.
That's me.
We're waiting for Chino to buy it. And then
it will be free delivery. It'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, it's awful.
I can't wait to see your review.
So if it sucks, I request $10 from each of you.
That is not a problem. You can send me an invoice on PayPal. I don't mind.
It's a problem with me, so just send James the $20 invoice.
I'll just send you the movie. You can fucking have it.
Dude, I will be buying that movie as soon as we get off here because I've not looked for it in a while.
Yeah, just send Jim the invoice and
actually
the movie.
Just wait. Yeah, just wait till I finish it. If I actually don't like it, I'm not going to keep it. So
yeah, you're gonna like it. I have no doubt. It's really well made. It may be a little bit dated now, but it's a really
That's
well
matter.
done
Yeah.
tense film.
Does it tie in to Martyrs?
Mark?
It's like a companion piece.
So, Mark, what is your favorite psycho thriller?
Again, I mean, if we're just defining it kind of by like serial killer thriller, it's hard to go wrong with the likes of Silence of the Lambs. A lot of these 7 classic ones. Trying to think outside the box. I don't know. I need to think about it for a while, but yeah.
Chino, what about you?
I'm gonna go with one that probably wouldn't even be thought of as part of this conversation. Black Swan.
I mean, I can see it, right? I can understand that, even though I don't remember much of the film.
Yeah.
But
So
I from what I remember, I could see it, but it's just not my kind of movie.
yeah, and there's also you could put that into kind of people losing their minds over time.
Yeah.
type category too. I mean, it's all a fluid, subjective thing, right, Jim? It's very moist sometimes.
The they thems of movies.
That movie was terrible. But anyway, I digress. The next genre of film we have is the supernatural resurgence, Mark.
The resurgence. So you're talking about like Insidious and that type of thing.
It doesn't give years, but I can tell you the first film that I'm going to talk about is The Others.
I mean, I'll say Ringu, if that falls into the category.
I mean, I guess it could.
I mean, that's what I mean. Resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, it could because it was what late 90s, early 2000s, right?
That was late 90s.
99.
I want to say it was 98, 99.
Yeah, something like that.
Because The Ring came out in 2002, so
yeah. So that and it wasn't that the original wasn't that old, so that could classify because that and right, The Ring really kickstarted the J horror remake phase here in the United States, so that could be part of this whole movement too.
Don't like the remake
of The Ring of Ringu.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think it totally misses so much of what makes the original great.
I disagree because I saw the remake first.
Okay, so because you see something,
I thought it was.
So is that your rule? If you see something first, then anything that's a remake or original,
I didn't have a basis for comparisons. No, it's because I didn't have a basis for comparison, so I enjoyed the experience. It's sort of like reading the book and then watching the film. It's never going to live up, right? And we already know that.
So
because I saw the original first, I enjoyed it.
I saw the original first, and I prefer the remake.
So what I
meant. Thank you for clarifying. The remake was better. I enjoyed the remake. The original is good.
The original is great. I feel as though it's a great premise, great idea. I don't believe it really brings in the fear and tension that The Ring gave me, at least from my own personal experience. Right?
Yep.
I watched Ringu at home, and it was creepy. It's like, you start doing the voice thing or not the voice thing, but you just start like the whole hair thing. And, you start thinking about like all these like weird little things that go on.
No, Jim, that's the wrong movie.
That's the Grudge. And then you find yourself watching The Ring, or I did, and I had to just model my entire room because my TV was at my, over by my feet. And I couldn't have that because Samara was going to come and fucking grab me and, suck me into the. It just creeped me the hell out. And the Ringu did not do that for me. So,
and that's fair. I will say what my big issue with Ringu, the first time I watched it, was the story felt disjointed, right? Because it kept jumping from segment to segment. But I rewatched it and I was able to follow it better. I don't care what you say, Mark. That's how I felt.
Oh yeah, because feelings are like facts, Jim.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. No, so the original is definitely a lot more slower paced. Definitely not as flashy as the remake. However, I think at the core, it because the original really has this Japanese kind of mythology built around it. The whole we find that kind of where she came from. She has psychic powers. The main lead's ex has psychic powers, and I really like how they mixed all that into this kind of detective story. Whereas the remake, Samara's just there, and she just has these powers, and nobody knows why.
Yeah, and that's a lot more terrifying.
Yeah, I love that. I love that fact that she's just evil as shit.
Right, and there doesn't have to be
she's
a
able
reason
to
for that.
manifest her hate onto things. It's just crazy.
Exactly.
But it makes sense in the first one where her hate came from. In the second one, they just blow past it, and I think, oh well, we can't put in this crazy mythology. We'll just have to just say nothing.
But there's no need for it. Like sometimes people are just bad, and that's okay.
It's like the Strangers, right? The Strangers just did that. They
So it's like doing Nightmare on Elm Street remake without any of the backstory about Freddy.
I don't need to know why Freddy kills kids. Just let him kill them.
Right? Do you think that's a better movie?
I didn't say better.
Yeah,
Different
exactly.
movie.
Anyway, so the funny thing is, like, Ju-on, and obviously they made the Grudge, the remake similar, whenever Ringo in the ring. But I really like both versions of that because I think the remake, the Grudge, keeps a lot of that original mythology in there.
I mean, it does take place in Japan too, so
extra points.
They're being more respectful to the source material, even more so.
That's
and I don't mind if you move countries, but I think just wiping out a lot of the backstory because you think it won't fit in this new country, then why are you doing?
But I think that with like Ju-on, like with the Grudge, it is all about the mythology. It is all about the fact that they believe that when such an event occurs, such a violent thing happens, it's because of that culture. That's why this occurs. So we're selling that as part of the movie. Whereas The Ring isn't selling anything based off of culture. This is about a girl who's,
I wouldn't say that because, her mom and a sea demon, had a good time one night. and now we have this crazy, Cthulhu and Sadako's mom had a good thing one night. To me, that adds layers to the story.
Yeah, but
it's fine. It's all subjective.
But we haven't discussed the best film in both franchises.
Sadako versus Kiyako?
Yes. It is an absolute balls to the wall masterpiece.
It's not the best.
It is. It is It's freaking.
Shut your face.
So
I really
canceling that.
hang on, wait. Jim, I really, really love that, and it was a total surprise because it shouldn't have worked. And I thought they pulled it off. I thought it was great, but it is far from the best in both.
Yeah, no, I know. I was kidding, but let me set the stage for you, Chino, a little bit if you haven't seen it. Right?
Okay.
You have The Grudge versus The Ring. Two people become cursed. They get them together in the same house to curse one person.
No. So what happens? So that's not how it happens. So what happens is a girl finds the tape.
I couldn't even tell you the synopsis.
No, you didn't even say it. This is much easier. A girl finds a ring tape, watches it, finds out that she's cursed. Doesn't know how to get away from that. Goes, does the detective thing. Find out that there's this other curse. If anybody goes into this house, then they die. So they figure out, well, in 7 days I'm going to die, but I'm going to die from this one. So then Sadako and Kiyako have a bit of a fight.
so almost she's bringing in the curse from the ring into the house to see if those two fight it off against each other.
Right. Yeah. So she's trying to take off the curse of the ring.
I like that.
By going into the house. Yeah,
it sounds like fun.
It is fun. It is a lot of fun.
Does their hairs get like caught in each other, and then like is there?
Yeah, they're just flying through the air, going at each other. It's great.
It is good. And the thing is, they take it very seriously in the movie.
Do.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that makes it even better.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I love the reference for the Grudge in Cabin in the Woods when they're watching all the different like tapes from like all the people like winning against it, and you see the school in Japan.
Yep.
All the kids and the girls like floating.
Yeah.
It's great.
I will say that I hated Cabin in the Woods until Sigourney Weaver showed up the first time.
Wow, I love that movie. I've never done cocaine, but if cocaine was a movie, I feel like that was it for me. Like, it just was fair. Like, what the hell?
I will say on rewatch, I appreciated it a lot more than I did on my initial viewing, but I hated it until Sigourney Weaver showed up initially.
So Jim hated Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
From minute 1 to minute 85.
Correct.
And then he loved the last 5 minutes, and then collectively liked it.
100% correct. Yes.
You know, do you see what I have to deal with here? Where's some of that Coca-Cola?
I mean, so Chino, let me ask you that. Well, we'll take a break from our eras for a minute. But is there a movie that you did not like the first time you watched it, but you appreciate more after rewatching it?
Hundreds of them. I'm doing a series right now on that. Actually, The Strangers was one.
Oh God!
Fucking hated that movie in theaters.
I still
hated it. The Village pissed me off.
It. Oh my God!
To no extent, absolutely pissed me the fuck off.
I take
Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
Hot Fuzz.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, I hated them. And I'm mentioning ones that hated, but I've since rewatched and loved. Unbreakable was another one. It just angered the shit out of me on that one. And yeah, I've rewatched a lot. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing a series where I'm rewatching stuff that I've hated, but there's a rule: they can't be within the last 5 years.
That's fair.
Because I feel like within this time frame, I still have resentment towards it.
Right.
Like the most recent, not the most recent, but one that I get a lot of shit for all the time anytime I talk about it. Barbarian.
Hated
Barbarian is just, to me, I just was so fucking annoyed with that movie.
Yeah.
And I was angry when the moment that thing happened, that I just was like, are you fucking kidding me? And just the rest of that experience was just like me cursing at the screen and going, Sesame, what? Like, it just picking it apart, and I fucking hate it with a passion. So
as soon as this is my experience with Barbarian, is as soon as the story began to focus on Justin Long, I was out.
That's it.
I love Justin Long. I love him as an actor. I think he's great.
Same.
But that movie does a 90-degree turn halfway through, and it throws off the whole experience.
Yeah.
So
I was not expecting it to be a comedy the second half.
So, and Jim, you've heard this before because we've talked about Barbarian before. So what makes more sense, like whenever you know about this, is the director had made a short, which was basically the first half of the movie, which is really good and really kind of like, I think, well written, well acted, kind of brings up that level of tension in a nice kind of calm but socially awkward sort of way, which I like because I'm socially awkward.
No.
So he made a short of that, and he got financing to make a movie about that. But he's like, okay, well, I can't make this a whole movie. So he's like, I can kind of make this half a movie. So he just made up the second half, kind of like whole cloth. And they don't sit well together for me. Right. Now, if you separate them, and just have them as, say, 2 45-minute stories in an anthology, say, I think they both work.
Yes.
Together, no, that doesn't work.
So you just made me hate it even more for the fact that you're telling me that this director's like, I don't know what to do. Fuck it. You know, just write the second half like on the shitter.
Right.
But it's great because I kind of love that B horror movie second part.
I do too.
And that original kind of thriller, like very somber build up of the first part, but just together they just don't match.
You're making me feel what I felt in theaters right now, because now I'm getting like fucking wired up, like I just said the whole line, right? Just fucking here we go. The first half I thought was incredible. The tension, the suspense, this was the best tension I had felt in a movie in a long time. I'm sitting here like, wow, this is really good. Like, you have no reason to be this good.
Yeah.
So that's why the second half really is a punch in the face, because of that tone shift that we have. And because it's just, like you said, it's really two different movies. Yep. Sure, if the first half was slapstick bro humor with Justin Long introduced, hey, if you don't know what to do the second half, maybe introduce the asshole character in the beginning, so we have a little bit of that push and pull with some of the tension, a little bit of the humor. We're going back and forth. We're not necessarily in one whole thing, but if you make the beginning to this, it's like Silence of the Lambs. Going in the first half, it's a serious movie, and then the second half is a fucking musical. What?
I kind of don't even really see the humor in the second half because Justin Long is clearly a rapist, right? He's clearly a rapist.
There was a lot of humor in it. There was a lot of like stuff that just like is not funny. You know what I mean? Like
the only
Dark
thing.
humor.
So the only thing that I think kind of is interesting about the two put together is the first half is really a woman who's coming to this place. There's already a guy there, and he's really trying his best to make her feel comfortable. Like he doesn't open the bottle of wine unless she's in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a good guy, right? He's just trying to make her feel comfortable, and she doesn't trust him. And then in the second half, Justin Long, who's a rapist, and she does trust him. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to say here, but I thought that was kind of interesting what you did with that one character through these two different stories. Again, imagine just coming up with one more story, making it an hour and a half movie.
You could have made the greatest 70-minute film.
Yeah.
The only thing that ties both parts together is the fact that the main actress is being kept by that thing.
Yeah. That movie pisses me off still. Jesus Christ. Fuck that.
Chino, we're going to do another podcast, an hour and a half, just talking about Barbarian.
Perfect. Can't wait to not watch it.
No, with you.
Let me just unfollow real quick. Fucking hell.
But I will say another film that did that for me, to be honest, was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, yeah.
I hated it. No, let me finish, Mark. Please. I hated the film when it started introducing the comedy. Once they got to the bar, like I hated that. Like it totally shifted for me and I hated it. However, watching it 3 years later, I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it is with a lot of these movies. Like, that's why I go back to rewatch them years later, because my mindset's different. I went into this expecting a very serious, scary type of tense film that was advertised. And yeah, I have expectations, and those expectations were not met. So of course I'm going to be upset, but I'd like to say I'm smart enough to recognize that, So a lot of times when I shit on a movie or something like that, I know that 95% of the fucking time it is my own expectations. And every so often it is because the movie's actually not a good movie. Yeah. But I always will give a film a second chance. Yeah. It can't be that soon, With The Village, I was advertised a scary film. I was advertised a movie about monsters. I was advertised, something really, really terrifying. The trailer was terrifying. Mm-hmm. As a senior in high school, going in to see a movie coming off of the high of Signs, okay? Like, Signs to me is his greatest. Like, I love Signs. So I was extremely excited for this movie. Yes. Again, expectations. Yep. But now your trailer is telling me it's this kind of movie. And when I go and watch it and it's a love story, I wasn't trying to hear all that.
I was 100% on board with The Village.
Until the reveal?
Yes. Until she hit that blacktop. Yeah. And then I'm like, this is bullshit.
And then M. Night appears on camera and it pissed me off even more. Oh, he's the guy he's the dude that she's talking to. Yeah, no, not the guy in the car, the other one. He's the ranger in the...
Oh, right. Yes.
Whatever. Yes. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, I took it personal. I was like...
because he's no Alfred Hitchcock, right? He doesn't have any right to be in his films.
And I just rewatched it last year for the first time since I saw it, in 2004. And I loved it. I fucking loved it. Did you? Because I knew where it was going. Yeah. There were no longer expectations of it being a monster movie. And I just watched it for what it was. And I watched it when I was a senior in high school. Now I'm watching it as a father of two. It's a very different set of eyes, And maybe that's
my problem, is that my set of eyes haven't really changed. I don't have kids now. I'm still essentially the same person I was in high school, to be
Okay,
honest.
well,
I
you
mean,
know,
other than my job and my my family's grown,
Jim has not matured or changed since
not
he
at
was
there's
all.
nothing wrong with that either, you
Yeah.
know. But it's
Oh,
it's
if you knew me
I,
in high school, there'd be a problem.
I don't think you necessarily have to have kids to appreciate it, but I do think that knowing that there is a twist ending
Yeah.
will allow you to view it in a very different manner. Obviously, you're now saying, I know exactly where this is going. So this will be more like a puzzle thing where I can take little bits and pieces and put them together as I watch it through.
Right.
And that would make it more exciting, you know, as a second time viewer for anyone if they really try to do it
That's
that way.
fair. Now,
So I agree. Like misleading marketing can really harm a movie.
Yeah.
And that movie might be really good,
Blair
but
Witch.
if you're going in there thinking one thing and it's something
Yeah.
totally different, also knowing the twist as far as what, like, not somebody telling you, because those people are assholes, Jim. Identity. But once you know the twist, I think you can do one of two things. One, it can be a one and done, right? Because it's all about the twist. You've seen it. It's pretty cool. Don't need to go back because a lot of it's build up for that twist.
Right.
Some other movies, if you know the twist, you can watch that whole movie through through a different lens and pick things up that you never did on your first watch. So it just depends on the story and the film.
Yeah.
So, 2 points I want to make. First is favorite M. Night Shyamalan film.
Signs.
Fair. Mark?
It must be Lady in the Water.
Oh, God.
I haven't seen it. It's like to me, a lot of his movies I don't really connect a lot with.
Mm-hmm.
There's aspects I like about them, but then there's aspects I don't. I don't know. Maybe Split, but there's aspects that I don't know.
I'll watch James McAvoy in that movie all day, every day.
Yeah, it's weird because I could throw on an M. Night Shyamalan movie in the background and be fine with it, but I just would never sit there and go, "Oh, that's my favorite one of his," because apart from the twist thing, which he does and doesn't do occasionally, I don't really.
He doesn't do. He does it in every movie.
No, he doesn't do it in every movie.
What? Name me one that doesn't have a twist.
Avatar Airbender. Thank you. Sit down.
That barely qualifies, sir.
Old doesn't have a twist, right?
Which one?
Because
Old just has a reveal, but it's not a twist.
I mean,
right.
That's any movie, right? Any movie has a reveal at the end.
Right. Any movie has a reveal.
Cabin in the Woods.
Right.
Or not Cabin in the Woods. What's that one?
Which one?
What's the one? The one with Dave Bautista in it.
Oh,
Cabin by the Lake.
If you say knock at the cabin,
knock in the cabin.
That movie was such garbage.
No,
the book does have a twist.
But there's no twist in that movie either.
There is a twist. Yes, there is.
What's the twist?
No, I don't know about a twist. There's a reveal.
Right.
I feel like his movies, if he never got on that whole labeled as like the twist guy, I think his movies would do a lot better. And I think
that's fair.
Even going back to The Village, if you didn't look at it for waiting for a twist, that movie, if you advertise it knowing what it was, it would have been received a lot better.
That's fair. That's fair. But I have to go with The Visit.
It's a good one.
Because Jim loves that kid rapping in it.
Yeah, that's.
I thought he just loved old ladies, but all right.
It was the diaper scene actually that just I was like,
That's
this
hot.
is. Gross.
Oh well, you're a bit of a fecal freak though, Jim. So
shut up, Mark.
You would like it. Yeah.
Some would say that depends.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. But we were talking about misleading marketing, right? I still, to this day, I saw Blair Witch Project in theaters in 95, 96, 99, whenever it came out.
98, 99.
99.
Like that. But I still have never I've never rewatched it because I was so pissed at being misled. I legitimately went in looking for a documentary.
But that was the point of that, right? That's
100%.
That's lightning in a bottle.
The marketing, the person that handled that marketing was a genius, absolute genius.
Well, not just the I mean, that movie, you can't. There's only 2 movies in existence that have done what fucking what am I? Blair Witch Project has done that and Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Ever since those two movies, there's no other movies that will ever do that. We don't.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh God.
Mm.
God.
But
Cannibal Holocaust.
but we can't bring up Blair Witch.
But Cannibal Holocaust wasn't. Not everybody knew about it. It wasn't the same.
No.
Blair Witch, people really thought these kids were dead. The whole world thought.
Do you know how angry I was seeing?
There was a website dedicated to them.
No, well, hang on. People thought that those kids were dead.
Yes.
The Cannibal Holocaust. The courts thought.
Sure, but that was only in Italy.
People. So
right? That was only in Italy. Like, right? I mean, they didn't.
he was still brought up in charge. He was still brought up in charges
for sure,
and he had to get the cast that they signed like an agreement where they wouldn't appear in public for a year, right?
Right.
And I was talking with the director of Blair Witch, Eduardo Sanchez, at a con last year. I was talking to him about Cannibal Holocaust, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm glad I didn't see that before I made my movie, because I wouldn't have made the Blair Witch, because I would have thought that I'm copying them."
I mean, I've not seen Cannibal Holocaust, so I can't speak to it.
You're not missing out on much.
The marketing, right, was absolute genius, but I felt so duped. Here we are 30 years later, and I still will not watch that film.
Well, that's your own issue, Jim.
It is.
But you have to think time and place, right, for marketing.
Oh, I think it was genius.
Perfect time. The internet just setting off. People totally gullible like they are today. And
it was an experience.
It was
a universal experience. That's why I don't compare Cannibal Holocaust to, because Cannibal Holocaust just wasn't a universal. It wasn't a universally shared experience, right? Like there was a very specific group of people, like horror fanatics, that knew about that movie and knew about all the lore. And then obviously the people in Italy and the people that knew the director and his work, those people followed along. Sure, the courts were like, this guy murdered these people, all that. But I feel like that shared universal experience twice in life would have been Paranormal.
I mean, it's kind of apples and oranges, but as far as like the filmmaking style, back in the day, and you could also talk about the guinea pig movie that Charlie Sheen sent to the FBI to say, "Oh, this is a real snuff movie," right? I mean, you can. So there's, but again, But what I'm saying is, there's movies that are made that try to trick the audience, or maybe some people that don't know enough about it could be fooled into thinking, hey, is this real or not? And I think what the Blair Witch Project did perfectly was they had that Sci-Fi Channel documentary, right? Yep. They had the website, and it was all set up perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
News articles, TV spots. Jesus, man.
Cloverfield tried to replicate it.
Cloverfield did really good with it.
And they did do a good job, but it never quite got to the level of Blair Witch.
I remember that the trailer was like, what is like the website was, what is Cloverfield, or something like that. And it was, you just didn't know what was going on.
So you got messages from the website every couple days.
That was cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I think that's more like a slow reveal than a kind of building up expectations.
I did like the initial thought that they had for Cloverfield for doing the sequels, where it would be the exact same film, but from different POVs. So you would see somebody across New York City having the exact same experience on the exact same night. I thought that would have been really cool.
Cloverfield Lane was fantastic.
It was, but that the creature was not the problem in that film. Right, it was John Goodman.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. And that's probably why I like it.
It's quite an interesting little series of movies, Cloverfield. They all do something a bit different from each other.
They do.
I think that's cool. I mean, because you don't know what you're walking into, right? But they all have this, same universe and same shit happening outside, but from different angles.
I can't say that I'm a big fan of the Cloverfield paradox.
I thought it was fine.
It was interesting, but it just didn't hit right for me, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the least interesting of the three. It feels a bit more, not made for TV, but kind of lower budget, or
Sci-Fi Channel original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But I
So
thought it
like
was
Hellraiser Hellworld, right, Mark?
Best
fine.
movie ever.
I don't know. That's the one Henry Cavill was in, isn't it?
You would know, Jim. You would know
Yeah, I'm
because
pretty
that's all
sure.
you do.
I'm pretty sure it was Hellworld.
Jim types in guys that he likes and what movies, and then he
Just has
goes
a
and
Henry
watches
Cavill
them and like
wall.
Yeah,
best
exactly.
movie ever.
Yeah, pretty
Mr.
much.
Cavill, good night.
Exactly. That's all I need. I have him. I have his voice recorded on my alarm clock, so he can read me a book to sleep. Yeah,
That's hot.
it is. What can I say? But anyway, Mark, do you want? Mark's been gone for 2 months, and we've actually about this time we would start to talk about things that we've read or watched or games we've played in the recent past that we've really enjoyed. So, Mark, you've been gone for 2 months. What do you want to talk about?
Actually, I haven't watched that much for whatever reason. I think because I've been coughing my lungs out. But let's talk about Dexter, the new Dexter
Yes.
No,
series,
please God, no.
for
Please,
a
no.
minute.
No.
So shut up, Jim. So Chino, obviously you've seen it.
Yes, I'm on
Okay.
episode 4.
So I'm just going to talk in generalities. I think there's a new episode at a time. I'm all caught up to whatever episode. I think it's 5 or whatever. So after season maybe 4 or 5 of Dexter, it really started going downhill. The original series, it was just like good acting and stuff, but it was just lacking in a lot of ways compared to the first seasons. And then they did that New Blood one, which I thought was fucking painful.
Why? I liked it.
Well, of course you would. Like focusing on his son and stuff, and his son was fucking annoying, and it just didn't have that same
No more annoying than Ted.
original Dexter feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one, although I have some issues with it, kind of recaptures a lot of that original few first seasons. While not making a lot of sense, I think it's much more aligned to those than all the other seasons put together. I think that I was a little worried about the lead actor in the but you're just trying to get used to somebody different. He kind of reminds me of Topher Grace.
Okay, I can see that.
Topher Grace
Yeah,
a little bit. Although in the first one they kind of had him like Jeffrey Dahmer with the hair and the but he grew on me. They went back to a similar soundtrack from the first, similar setting. I think what's his name that plays his dad?
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater. Oh, in the new one. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's I think the older he's got, he's always a very good actor, but he's super good in this. And he's a real asshole as a character in it.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
He's
oh my
a
god.
fantastic actor.
Huh?
Christian Slater's a fantastic actor.
Always
Yeah,
Broken Arrow, guys. Come on.
I think as he's aged, maybe because he's older now and he's just in this role anyway. I don't know. I think he
He played the same sort of character in Mr. Robot, though.
I haven't seen that.
You're missing out, dude. It's great.
It's got Henry Cavill in
it. No,
Exactly.
not this one.
But the actors that they got to play younger versions of the
Masuka?
the old cast was Suka.
Dude,
But the guy that plays Angel,
yeah, Batista.
like his facial
His
expression,
demeanor, all of it, dude. It's
perfect.
uncanny. Yeah, you would think that it was like a deep fake or like the real Batista lost weight and like they just did some de-aging on him. Yeah, it's good. Even Huerta.
But as I was watching, I was talking to my wife as we were watching it, and she watches all the Dexter stuff. I'm like, so who is Dab's mom again? And then it's like him cheating with the woman and Dexter, and I'm like, the original wasn't Dexter like a 2-year-old when they found him? I'm like, a lot of this doesn't make sense. But the camera work, the style, the overall episodic kind of villain of the week thing, getting back to that is really good with an overarching something going on. And so I really like it. And Jim, I want to know your thoughts about the actress that plays Deb in
Considering I have never seen it, I don't have any.
Oh, you haven't watched it? I think you had watched it.
No, why would I watch it? I hated the original.
Really?
You
I hate
hated the
Jennifer Carpenter with
original.
passion.
Wow.
I thought you watched it, but just didn't like Deb.
No, I just don't like the actress that plays Deb in anything.
But you
don't like
Quarantine.
Exorcism of Emily Rose?
Nope, have never seen it.
Quarantine? It's a fantastic movie.
Can't see.
If I
Quarantine.
just bought that
So-
$20 one, you need to watch Exorcism of Emily Rose. You need to.
So
at
here's
least
my
yourself
problem
big.
with Jennifer Carpenter, right? I'm gonna put it. I figured it out today, right?
She lucky
Every
man.
character she plays is a weak ass character, and I hate it.
So Jim, you are such a fucking liar. You just said you don't watch anything with her in it, but now you're saying you don't watch anything with her in it
Because all
every
the characters are the same.
Hang on, because every character she plays
It's the same.
So how do you know if you haven't watched them?
I didn't say I've never seen a movie with her in it. I would have to have seen a movie with her in it
So-
to have
so-
such
so-
a disdain for her.
So one movie? How many movies have you seen with her in it?
I don't know. I did not keep count.
Well, why don't you jump on IMDb, look up her name, and you can tell us? Because, like, if you're sitting there saying she always plays a weak character every role that I've seen her in, I want you to
tell me a movie that she is not screaming, crying, and saying the word "fuck" in the entire movie.
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah,
That's fair. I have not seen it, and I've heard that multiple times. But let's go on.
Quarantine.
Do I need to show you the cover?
So
she's
you
literally
showed me a
screaming
cover.
and crying on the cover art.
Well, you have to. I mean,
So Jim, you're saying that the entire character is based on the cover art.
No, I'm saying that my impression
watch
of
it?
every
Did you
character
watch
she's
it?
ever made.
No, did you watch it, Jim?
No, not yet.
Then
I
check
have
out
to watch it
my
this week,
pile.
though. I have to
the
watch it this
cover of Quarantine is very specific. I mean, it's a actual shot from the movie.
Yes, I know.
And if
Where
you've
she
seen
gets
Wreck,
backwards.
have you seen Wreck?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't
Watch
know
Wreck.
I
what
know the shot. I know the shot you're talking about. I
Yeah.
know the setup. I've seen trailers and videos. of people talking about it.
So Jim, you're saying you've seen that scene, right?
Yes.
You understand what's going on,
Yes.
and the actress on the front cover is kind of screaming. What sort of thing should they be doing?
I don't know, Mark. What should she be doing?
Oh, obviously, like laughing. I don't know.
No, a lot of my impression is because I do not like that actress. I
Because
can't help
you
it.
haven't- oh Jesus Christ! Anyway,
Just
You
like
know,
Sherry Moon
I-
Zombie. Can't
I
stand
apologize.
her.
I understand that. I can't watch any Amy Schumer movies.
See?
I get that there's certain people that I just will avoid altogether.
Yeah.
But Amy Schumer, you actually do get exactly the same exact thing in any single Amy
Yes.
Schumer thing that
Yes, you
Amy Schumer
do.
does. And I've tried. I can say that I've tried, but I disagree with Jennifer. I think she's fantastic. What's the other one that she did? Cell Block, right?
Yeah.
Cell Block, Nate.
I don't know that one.
It's fantastic.
She's in a lot of great stuff, and she's wonderful.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not watching.
Jim just
more
wants to
movies.
die in certain hills to make
Yeah,
himself.
I'm going to stay on this hill for now.
I
I
know.
will give the Exorcism of
I'll
Emily
come up
Rose
the
a
hill
shot
with you
for
and I'll hold your
Chino.
hand and we can walk down together slowly.
So anyway,
I will give the Exorcism of Emily Rose a shot for you, Chino, because you're giving Intensity a shot. No promises.
All right. No, hey, as long as you watch it, that's half the
but-
battle right there.
Yeah.
You know,
bear in mind, Jim, there is some scenes where she's screaming in it, but it makes sense for the
but she's not yelling
character.
fuck. She's
Right,
yelling
there you go.
Jesus.
But anyway, I've been like, I was kind of like, I don't even know if I want to watch this new Dexter, just because the last season was terrible and the seasons before. I'm like, and I'm not a big TV watcher anyway, but I'm glad I gave this one a chance because so far it's been excellent. And again, the film work, the soundtrack, everything is just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a Dexter fan since the very first season. I've watched it religiously. Unfortunately, there's a lot about me that is very similar to that man. And my wife, when I showed her, because she had never seen it, so I was like, let's watch it when the new one was coming out. the New Blood or whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to watch these because you need to catch up. I'm not going to just throw this on. Like, I'm going to be watching this. So you need to watch all the seasons. So I think it was like maybe like episode 4. She's like, oh, so I married Dexter, you know. That was like, you know, it just, so there's a lot of stuff personal level that I relate to the guy. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I love the show. I love what it's about. I think that the best season was obviously with the Trinity Killer, season 3. And then from that point on, they had a very hard time trying to replicate that same thing because it was John Lithgow just did an incredible performance. Everything. It was just, everything was right about that season. And, you know, they try to kind of recreate that in the upcoming seasons. It didn't work out. I'm personally a fan of how the show ended. I thought that I love the bleak endings. I love the dark endings. I love things that aren't explained. And I think that a lot of, for the conversations that I've had with a lot of people about the show, their reason for not liking it was because, well, you know, he lost everything, everyone basically. And it's like, well, what did you expect? You were the entire time you're watching a killer. At the end of the day, he's a bad guy, however you want to paint it, you know, whatever makes you feel better or justifying certain things. He's a bad guy. So anyways, I loved the ending. I did not like the new one with the kid. I wasn't a fan. It felt weird. It felt like a fever dream,
right?
You know, it was just odd. There was just something weird about it.
So just talking about the ending of the original series, it just, okay, so we already had the weird thing with him and Dab for the last couple of seasons, and it, like, that's just like, why? I don't understand. Anyway, so but at the end of this, at the very end of that, with him surviving, just felt like, hey, we know this is popular, so let's just give him an out. We're not going to explain how he survived in a little boat in a hurricane and washed up in fucking Canada or whatever the fuck happened. We're just going to do it and fuck it. Like, it just feels like you're cheapening. You know, you're supposed to have some sort of reality in this universe. And I know they kind of lost that in the last number of seasons, but anyway, I just felt that it was kind of like they didn't know what they were doing, but they still wanted to have him come back
just in case.
Whereas in this new season, him just doing the voiceover totally works.
Yeah,
totally works.
I think that's what helps too, because you're completely giving into a whole new cast, all new faces, and it can be borderline, you know, cringe when you're watching characters essentially doing cosplay of your favorite characters. But that voice is that connective tissue,
right?
You know, for all the fans, and so, there's comfort behind it.
I have a question about this new prequel Dexter that you guys are watching, and this could just me being simplifying this down to the lowest common denominator, but you already know that there are no stakes. Like, he legitimately is going to go work for the cops. You already know that. So what is it about the journey to get there that keeps you watching this every day? I'm legitimately asking. I'm not judging.
So because, like, in the original Dexter, so this is one of the things they kind of fucked up a little bit in the ending seasons, where they kind of were saying, is he going to get caught? Is he not? And really, he should have been caught, and that would have been when Deb finds out who he is, and that makes sense, right? And they kind of screwed around with that. This one, there's still stakes involved because there's still other people in this universe. You know, he doesn't die. One of the things that, you know, I said there's a couple of downsides to this season. Number one, they wrote him way too socially social
adept.
Socially adept. Absolutely. He's way too knows what he's doing, and they try to throw this, oh no, you're weird. He's weird, but in every scene that he's in,
he's not.
He's not. He's just like a normal guy.
He's cool.
Yeah.
He's Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man.
Exactly.
You know, he's too cool.
Yeah. But the other thing is, he's an intern in for the forensics. So I don't think interns go to fresh crime scenes with it's just him and the detective, and he's all walking around and oh, it's this and that and that. Like, I don't think that's what interns do. I think
No.
you actually have a professional cop there, a forensics person, but I'm willing to waive all that away because I like the rest of it so much.
Fair
Jim,
enough.
I think to answer for you from my point of view is that Dexter is just a rich character.
Okay.
It's there's so much about his character that you immediately drawn to when you watch the first 2 seasons. The third season, you grow with him, and that's the dilemma with him, because you're seeing this guy do some horrible things, but you like him. You as the viewer, you are on that same vehicle as him. You are the passenger that he talks about, but you are his passenger. You're watching him perform some serious things and some questionable stuff. And I think us as fans, like, we want to see just more of that. We want to
Okay.
see more stories. This is just more stories. Like, we already know 99.9% of everything that happens, in this new season, this prequel, because it's been told through flashbacks in the previous seasons.
Right.
But overall, it's just, we just want that world again, because it's just too good. It's too
And that's
rich.
fair.
There's just too much good
And,
shit there.
and Jim, you do have a point there, but I think you could make an X-Files prequel or whatever and know where they're going, but still have a fun,
Yes.
monster of the week thing or whatever. It doesn't work in all cases, and sometimes I'm trying to think of. I thought of one the other day. I'm like, this is pointless because there is no stakes. But it was a different type of movie. I don't remember what it was. So that can happen where it's
Yeah.
just like you just feel they're trying to make money off it.
Yeah.
But this one is just a lot different. There's a lot of I don't know who the showrunner is or whatever, whether it's some of the original guys, but they really nailed it. Just the whole feeling, everything.
Nice.
And that
Okay,
music, the credits at the
Oh.
end, that like dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun, I could fall asleep to that. Like, it is so soothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably kill somebody while I'm listening to that too. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, it's the most soothing thing I'll ever hear. I fucking love it.
Fair enough.
I'll be right back, but Jim, why don't you talk about what you've watched?
Well, we'll let Chino go. Chino, what about you? What have you watched or seen that you really appreciated or really hated?
Well, it's fresh in my head. This weekend I watched I rewatched all of the Police Academy movies.
Oh my god, I love them.
Okay, so I should say, let me go back. I rewatched parts 1 through 6. I had never seen the 7th one,
Okay.
which was the Moscow one.
I stopped at 4.
Okay, so I have not seen these movies since I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And the first one, I knew some things, but I didn't remember a lot of it. I was,
Right.
I guess, very, very young, obviously. And some things kind of came, other things kind of went. More than anything, it was questionable, like why my mother even let me watch these. Because I was like, there's some shit in here. I'm like, Mom, really? You let me watch this? Then with the second one, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember that. Third one, same thing. Fourth, 5 was the one that I remember not liking that much, the one that takes place in Miami.
Yep.
But number 6 was the one that I always watched as a kid. And I fucking love that. It's just pure nostalgia.
Okay.
I love part 6. 7, I just finished it before we got on the podcast, and it was the worst thing I have ever seen.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot, right? When you try, they that's what I hate about the current reboot thing that we have going on. They try, but it doesn't capture the magic most times.
Yeah, I think that Police Academy actually would benefit from having a sequel / reboot, if you will, like a part 8, bringing back Steve Guttenberg, having him be the new Lassard in a sense of like taking over the Police Academy, introducing new recruits, that sort of thing, but also with the climate of just cops in general, having a hard R rating to it attached where they can really explore some topics and things,
Yep.
I think this movie would be very relevant today, and it would actually be one I would 100% see.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that 100%.
So if you were listening, Steve Gutenberg,
Yeah, right.
come on.
I mean, the Goldbergs ended, and that was the last thing I saw him in. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he's got time.
And we need Bobcat again.
Oh yeah, Bobcat would be good. Even Kim Cattrall, we could bring her back.
Yeah. Kim Cattrall, that's right. Who else?
Is Hightower is what was his name?
Hightower passed away.
That's what I was gonna. I thought so, but I figured I'd ask. And I think the blonde, I forget her name. I think she passed too.
Which one?
I don't know how to explain, except she's got large.
No, she's still alive.
Is she? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it Mary? Then was it Marion? What's her Marion Jones? The soft spoken one. I thought one of them.
She passed away.
Okay.
The soft spoken one passed
Yeah.
away. Hightower passed away. The other dude, the military guy, passed away.
Yep.
Obviously, Lassard passed away.
Yeah.
Lassard passed away. He was 99.
I know. That's insane.
Good for him. Whatever. I want to know what he fucking ate and drank. Jesus.
My cousin that I take grocery shopping every week is 95, and he still lives on his own. I
Really?
hope I'm that with it when I'm his age.
That's crazy.
It is. It's nuts.
Shit.
These nuts.
No, Mark. Nobody cares about your nuts.
I do. Are they okay?
Thanks for reaching out. Yeah, they're doing okay now.
That's good.
So we were
Appreciate
talking about Police Academy, Mark.
Steve Gutenberg.
Yes.
Yes.
Chino
Classic.
just rewatched all of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I spent this weekend watching all of them again.
So
Except
how
the
many is there?
7.
4?
7.
3? 7.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I got to 3 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling him I don't think I got past 4.
I was telling him I rewatched 1 through 6. The 7th one I had never seen. It was god awful. But 6 was the one that I watched over and over again as a kid. It's like nostalgia for me. I love that movie. And the other 5, 1 through 4 were great. 5 I didn't care for as much, but yeah. And I was saying that we should have a reboot / 8th installment, bringing Gutenberg back, being the new Lassard, taking over the police academy and making it a hard R rating, talk about the climate of cops today. And,
So here's the thing, though. Let's not have Gutenberg. You have to recast an actor in his role. Who would it be?
If you had to cast, Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I couldn't get on board with that one.
I would love that. I'd love to see him do something that's completely off the wall, different to him being serious all the time.
Yeah, see, I would go with Christian Slater because I know he could do it. I love Christian Slater. Like that man could act in just about anything.
Jim, maybe
Henry
we'll
Cavill.
have Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
With the mustache.
You know, I don't know that I would appreciate him in a comedy, to be honest.
Henry Cavill?
Yeah.
He was great in Stardust.
What?
Stardust.
Oh, Jim's got something to watch later now.
No. I've seen Stardust a lot.
He's blushing. It's like, oh my god.
No, like I've seen
Cavill.
Stardust a lot. I've never picked up on Henry Cavill being in that movie.
Yeah.
How have I never picked up on him being in that movie?
He's the guy that the girl that the dude is competing for.
Oh God, that's because I hate that character. So I obviously just never connected the two. I love that movie. Like I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in like 5 years, but I love that movie. Michelle Pfeiffer playing a bad person was amazing.
Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer. She could play anything any day.
Oh, I know. I agree. I would switch.
She could walk all over me.
Oh my God.
She could ruin my marriage. You hear that?
There are a few women that I would switch teams for. She's one of them.
So it is true. It is a choice, Jim.
Yes, it's a choice. Total choice, Mark.
Exactly. Thanks for confirming.
That's hilarious. Gotcha.
Well, into my trap.
Clip that chat. Clip
Did I hear a rumor that Henry Cavill is going to be in like a Highlander remake?
Yes, he is in the reboot of Highlander.
Is it a reboot or a remake, Jim?
I want to say it's a reimagining, but I need to double check myself. Like, I don't think it's not a continuation.
Well, no, it's not a sequel. That would be a sequel, Jim.
I mean, they could. I'm on the minority here, but I fucking hate Highlander.
I like the first one, and that's it.
I hated it so much.
So hang on. So you hate that they have a French guy playing a Scottish guy, and a Scottish guy playing a Spanish guy. Like,
There's
who's
a lot
out
of
there
things
in
I have
Scotland
issues with.
to be
I mean,
like,
look,
I've never had an issue with that kind of casting choice. Listen, I'm all for Team Vasquez and Aliens, even though
Yeah.
I'm Hispanic, but she's not. But shit,
Nope.
she's invited to the cookout any day. Like, she looks like she could be, from El Barrio, like, no problem. So I don't have those kinds of issues. But yeah,
But she
they
could
just-
do
I don't
So, I
like-
mean,
she could do the accent though. It's like it's like Sean Connery in what? Not is it Hunt for Red October?
yes.
Where he's playing a Russian. I'm a Russian.
There's another movie called Colombiana, and there's a guy, I don't remember his name, but he was in another film called Deep Rising. He's Middle Eastern, but he gets thrown in as a Spanish guy in almost everything. And he has that like corny ass Hollywood accent of Hispanics, what
Hang
are
on,
you
hang on,
what
hang on.
are you doing? Like, come here. Like,
I
we
need-
don't.
I need to know who this is. Who you're
Let me
talking
look
about?
him up.
Because Deep Rising's great. I'm trying to think
Deep
who it is.
Rising's fantastic.
Deep Rising's great.
Yeah. He's great in that, and he doesn't play a Spanish guy in Deep Rising. He plays a Spanish guy in Colombiana. And
I'm looking at the list for Colombiana, and the only person that I know,
Cliff Curtis.
Oh, he's
that's exactly where I was going to go. But
he's from New Zealand.
and he's Australian or something.
Well,
Now he's from New Zealand.
New Zealand. Sorry, yeah.
He's
He was
always
in,
a fucking Spanish guy. I don't no.
He wasn't in the Meg.
Yeah.
Are we watching the Meg for anything other than Jason Statham's sexy accent and
Yeah, exactly.
hunting down
exactly.
sharks? Listen, I married my wife,
Mark likes
but
to make
Jesse
fun of me because
Jason
I watch-
Statham is
I love the Meg. I love the original, the first one.
I'm Jason Statham. All right.
that's a big shark. That's scary. Like, it's
I'm gonna kick that shark in its bollocks.
I don't like the way that shark looked at me.
Night.
I'm a roundhouse kick it.
It's a fucking.
I absolutely love that movie, and I will watch.
Good night.
My mother's saying goodnight, by the way.
Yeah,
Good night.
that means we have to go.
No, she's going to bed.
Tell her I'll be there in a minute.
I'm telling your wife, Mark.
What?
You heard me. Your wife likes me more than she likes you, so keep it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chino, what else did you want to talk about?
Nothing. I don't even think I ever even. We completely veered off topic, but I never mentioned what my supernatural resurgence movie was.
Oh, did we? Oh, please,
No,
please do
But
that.
I'd have to say Insidious, because I remember you said the others,
Yep.
but I felt like the others didn't. There wasn't anything after that. Like the others fell more in line with like international cinema, with like movies like Los Ojos de Julia, Orfanato, and those sorts of things. But that's always been the kind of like movies that we get from Spain and Mexico, like
Right.
Spanish filmmakers. We love religious horror.
Mhm.
So, or however you want to flip it, that's always been a thing. But like Insidious, I felt like brought back that to the States, because like the supernatural elements, you just weren't seeing a lot of that prior to. There was just a big gap, and then
Mhm.
Insidious just threw it out there. Being that it was PG-13, they saw it was really marketable, and then we
Yep.
just saw an influx of a bunch of other movies,
Oh,
Curse
so-
of La Llorona, and
Yeah.
etc. So
How about the orphanage?
Love that movie.
yeah, El Orfanato, yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
And like a lot of Del Toro stuff, like
Mhm.
especially his
Yeah.
earlier stuff.
But like again, you see that stuff even then, right? His old stuff it's always religious ghost
His,
stories.
his visual style is amazing. Like
Yeah.
it's always so beautiful. The way
Did you
it's
see the
shot.
screenshot for the new Frankenstein?
I did not yet.
Excited.
I'm okay. I'll watch anything he makes because visually it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
That's one of the things like I love about Alien Resurrection that everybody hates, regardless of what you think of the continuity of the movie or the storyline. Even visually, it's a beautiful fucking movie.
So what do you think about
But
Prometheus?
he didn't direct Alien Resurrection. Or are you just saying just to the visuals?
Yeah, I'm just talking. No, I
Oh,
know he didn't. I'm just saying that's one of the things that I
gotcha.
love
Yeah,
about that movie.
yeah.
Everybody else shits all over it, but visually, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, all his movies are The City of Dark Souls. What's the other
Okay.
one that he's
Well, I mean that's the Ridley Scott thing, right? Even if he makes a like terrible movie, it's always going to look beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have. I get what he's saying though. What Jim's saying is like it. Like you can take all of that one person's movies and they almost could be part of that same exact universe. Whereas like Ridley Scott's movies, they all look beautiful, but you can't take Blade Runner and mix it with insert whatever else. You know,
Gladiator.
You could even take what Hellboy, the Golden Army, like that would fit right in with his visual style with Pan's Labyrinth. Like it could be in the same universe.
Yeah. I just recently rewatched Pacific Rim. So good.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed Pacific Rim.
So good. Made me feel like a kid in the theater when I watched it.
I did not see it in theater, so I could not share that experience.
Fun kaiju nonsense.
It is. It's fun
Yeah,
kaiju nonsense.
it's loud. It's so good.
So the only I've got just a couple of things real quick to talk about. Well, hopefully quickly. I've watched some more. I've watched some more of the Creep tapes.
Ick.
Have you watched them, Jim?
No, I didn't like the movie, so I didn't even pick up on the series.
Okay, that's fair enough. You would not like the series if you didn't like Creep.
There's only one Creep movie I've liked, and it's not that one.
It's again, these are just like kind of fun little vignettes of what's his name?
Mark Duplass.
Mark Duplass. Being creepy. Some work better than others, but you know, I think for a little series, it's fun. It's fun enough.
Yeah.
So the other kind of big thing that I watched, and this is from a filmmaker / writer that I think that I pretty much love everything that I've seen of his. And the only one that I haven't seen is what's that DiCaprio one, The Island?
Shutter Island?
No, it was like was it?
Yeah, I think it is just The Island.
So this is Alex Garland, and I just watched Civil War.
I haven't seen that yet. Was it good?
So I would talk about like this marketing, right, and people's expectations, and this could have been. So this is really a story about war reporters, right? Set in America, where apparently this, obviously a new civil war, but it doesn't really, that aspect of it doesn't really kind of present itself in any meaningful way. They're just traveling up the country, and there's some skirmishes here or there, and they're just like, it's what's her name, Spider Woman girl,
Kirsten Dunst,
I really like, and another like photographer with her, and they pick up kind of this up and coming teenage war reporter photographer. So a lot of it's more about how they're interacting, kind of almost like the morality of being in a place where you could potentially help somebody, but that's not your role. Your role there is to take pictures and send it back. So it's kind of like the Killing Fields, or some of these maybe some Vietnam War, Full Metal Jacket kind of for the second half. But I don't know if it does a very good job of making them sympathetic. And maybe it's not trying to, but they're very. I don't know. They're very kind of cold to certain situations, and it's like, oh, well, I'm a photographer, and that's even within their own group. So again, wonderfully shot. This one is probably my least favorite of his, because I don't know where what it thinks it's trying to be. if that makes any sense. The Civil War background, is much less prevalent as far as like current day politics in America than something like The Hunt, which is very overtly about kind of like modern day politics.
Yeah, I
In the
hated that
US.
movie initially.
Oh, the Hunt's great. The Hunt's great.
That was a movie I had to watch twice before I appreciated it. I
Yeah.
initially did not like it at all.
Oh, it's great, but it kind of makes some kind of fun on both sides.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about it after the rewatch.
But this one doesn't really have a lot to say about current politics and why there's this big civil war.
This one plays it very safe.
Yeah,
It decides to just go here. It doesn't go left. It doesn't really go right. It just
again, it could have been any war, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people complaining about going into it saying, "Oh, it's called Civil War, but there's no real impact about the Civil War, no commentary on it really." And yeah, I mean, I get that totally. But it was okay. It was okay. But compared to the rest of his oeuvre, it's definitely on the lower side for me.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's about it. I don't know. There's probably other shit, but it's getting late. I'm way over. So,
do you know anything else you wanted to talk about?
No. Super Mario Brothers, John Leguizamo. I just rewatched it.
I love that movie. Captain Lou Albano.
I trust the fungus, man. I love it.
I love that movie.
People like to shit on it. Whatever.
I don't care. I don't care if they do or not. Captain Lou Albano and John Leguizamo were geniuses in that film.
But no, nothing else from me, man.
So I watched a movie today, and I want to quote the director, and his name is Cam, but I don't remember his last name. So 1 second.
Is Henry Cavill in it?
No. So
is Jennifer Carpenter in it?
No.
What would happen if a movie were to be announced tomorrow with Henry Cavill and Jennifer Carpenter? I think he would implode.
I would. You're right. I would. It is Cam Poletti. So I got sent a private link to a 15-minute short horror comedy called Banjo String. Anybody know what a banjo string is?
It's a string on a banjo.
It is not. No, not in this context.
It's a thong. I don't know.
It's a nerve that runs from the very, very tip of a certain banjo? Very sensitive part down to the underside, just behind that very sensitive part. So this takes
damn.
This
from your eye down or something? What are you?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Absolutely.
I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying.
So this is about a guy who is getting lucky for the first time, and as he's getting lucky, that banjo string breaks.
Jesus Christ! Is this a comedy?
It is.
I'm not laughing.
You would laugh when you see this. It's a 15-minute short, and the blood is over the top.
Oh my god!
The chemistry between the actors is phenomenal.
Does it make a sound?
It makes a few sounds, yes. But and I don't want to ruin the ending because there's a reveal at the end of this movie that is just pure genius.
Oh, it's like M. Night Shyamalan all over again.
Yeah, except this one makes sense and makes you laugh. And
I'm so curious.
If you get the chance, I'll message you offline, Chino, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody because it's got to be experienced. I'm sure once it comes off the festival circuit, you'll be able to find it on YouTube or whatever, but it's so great. It was so great. It was so fun. And then I also started watching a movie called Down Deep. Mark, we're going to be talking to one of the actors next month. Spider Dobrovsky. He acts in it and he's the director. It is it's one of those movies you really got to pay attention to because it goes into some bizarre things. So I'm gonna finish it tomorrow, but so far I'm liking the vibe that I'm getting from it. I'm enjoying it. I did, however, listen to 3 audiobooks called The Mall Priest. First is The Mall Priest, then Mall Priest Second Coming. Yes, I get it. And then there's Mall Priest 3. None of them go where you're thinking, Mark. It's about this guy
came
that is
again.
a priest in a church in a mall.
Hang on, is it Mall Priest 3 banjo strings?
No.
I'm just asking.
So the
Prequel to
first one
Martyrs.
is about a priest in a mall that gets taken over by
It's
a
a
demon.
companion to Martyrs, absolutely. Anyway, sorry.
It's a direct sequel. The first one takes place in a mall in the 80s. Essentially, the mall gets taken over by a demon, like completely encapsulated, and the mall priest has to come and save the day. I really expected this to be super preachy and ultra Catholic and all that kind of stuff, but it is not. It is actually extremely inclusive, and it's done really, really well. It's a lot of fun.
Hang on.
So, it is not like Exorcist Believers.
No, hang on. It's called Mall Priest, and you thought it was going to be like super Catholic and preachy?
I did, yes.
What the fuck's wrong with you, Jim?
But it turns out to be a lot of fun.
Hang on, Chino. Serious question. If I said to you, I'm reading a book called Mall Priest, would you be like, oh my God, that's probably a super preachy, like pro-Catholic novel?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Thank you.
We have different expectations, Mark. What can I say? But
priest.
It's fun.
It's going to be like the Pope.
I read through all 3 books in less than a week. They're fun. They're on the lighter side, but
no. Mall Priest is on the lighter side, Jim. Shut your fucking pie hole.
Anyway, Mark, shut up. That's all I have, Mark. That's all I got.
I got one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Just the whole time it's been just there, and I'm like, I have to say it. Mark, you 100%. If you're not, you could be a Baldwin brother.
I actually am one of the Baldwin brothers, but I'm acting, so I'm playing this role.
Gotcha.
So just everybody that just heard that, just forget about it. And I'm actually
100% looks related to one of the Baldwin.
I'm actually
Oh man. So anyway,
Jim, you look like Jennifer Carpenter.
You take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay, so if anybody is still watching, thank you for hanging out with us today. This has been a blast. Chino, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having
me. We should have done this at the beginning, and I fuck this up every time. Where can people follow you?
TikTok, Chino Collects. Chino Collects on YouTube. Chino does movies on YouTube. Chino Collects on Instagram. I also have a letterbox. All the links are on the bio. Find one, you can find everything else.
There you go.